guys, welcome to Christy Grace Scarlet Pen. I'm an author, creativity chaser, and book lover. So I am doing a quick video today just to share with you. So I am currently in the process of moving. That's why some boxes have been in the background of my videos at the moment. I'm in the process of moving, and there is no point dragging all the books that I don't want to read or I don't actually like with me if I can help it. Trying to read the books that I wasn't 100% sure if I'd like or not, and so I am able to unhaul them before I go. So what I'm going to do is really briefly share with you some of the unhauls. Here are the books that I am unhauling. They are only some of the books that I'm unhauling. Other ones I've talked about already in other videos, so I won't share them again. But here are the ones. Let's go through them real quick, and I won't go into too much details because I'm getting rid of them. The first one is The Adventures of Moriarty. I think it's just written by 37 short stories written by just like 137 authors. And it is sort of like all these little mini stories about Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. I thought it would be interesting, and I just was bored. I mean, I didn't care. I don't care about Moriarty. This is the thing. I don't care about villain stories that much. Or I'm like, why are we putting an entire emphasis on a villain? That is not the point of a story. So, and it was pretty dark, I think, too. The next one is called Mrs. Moore Goes Missing. And that is by, it's a Zofia Tabor. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It's actually two authors working together, and they are, I believe, they write in Polish. English translation by Antonia Lloyd-Jones. It is a historical fiction, which is why I didn't really gel with it. Not a huge historical fiction person, but essentially it was a lady in society. There's a murder, and she wants to become sort of a detective. It's like 1893. So that's not super, people aren't super excited about that. But yeah, I think I got a couple of chapters in, and I decided that the way that these two men have written women characters, I was not impressed, and I really didn't like, I was not feeling it. So I decided not to finish this one and to get rid of it. Alrighty, this book is called Arcade and the Golden Travel Guide by Rashad Jennings. This is actually designed for, young kids to read. This is book 2 in this series, where Arcade and his sister and I think a friend of theirs end up being able to travel through, I think, time or like dimensions, something like that. And yeah, there's this big mystery about the coin that he has, and people are after it. The problem is, this is book 2, and if you haven't read book 1, you literally have no context for some stuff. And I think that that's not ideal in terms of, I mean, I get wanting to have, a series and wanting people to come back for the next one and understand, but I feel like you need to lay at least a little bit of groundwork in every book so that people understand, especially if it's such an odd, there's such an odd, a fantasy element, then you really need to lay some groundwork so people don't pick up book 2 and are so confused that they just can't even be bothered. This book is interesting. So this is Fool's Gold. A Glitter of Gold by Liz Johnson, and the reason that I accidentally almost called it Fool's Gold is basically it's almost that story, but not exactly. It's not exactly. They didn't know each other, and they weren't romantic, previous romantic partners like they were in Fool's Gold, but it's kind of like those, that's kind of what's going on. So there's a woman who is running a tourist experience. She finds what she thinks might be like a pirate treasure pirate treasure from a ship, and goes to the museum dude. The museum dude desperately wants to tell the world because he is invested in this particular ship, and she just does not, because of her past. She was, involved in some sort of crime thing that happened, and so people, she doesn't feel accepted by society, and she just does not want to be in the spotlight. And so they sort of do this push-pull thing where she technically wants to, find it because she's interested, and he is, desperately wants all of the publicity, but he has to try and sort of work it out. So I got probably, I would say, 30% of the way through this before I skipped to the end to find out just what happened at the end. The main character in this is just very one-dimensional. The guy, main character, is very, very one-dimensional. He's really just, all he notices about her is how she looks, and he doesn't really care about her, you know, and her feeling, like how she, you know, feels about, it's technically her treasure, but he's just like, can't see past his own stuff. And she is like the most, she's so annoying. She's really annoying. I get that she's been through this big thing, but she's really annoying. I don't like her. So the two main characters weren't doing it for me. The story, I would have liked if the characters were better. No offense. From 30% to the very last few chapters, I didn't miss a thing. I'm going to do these next ones in a group. There's technically one more. It is my last ditch effort to try and redeem this series. But here we go. So this is the Triple Threat series. It is about okay, let me see if I can get this right. A crime reporter, an FBI agent, and a federal prosecutor. They are three women who are friends and who sort of work in the law enforcement field, obviously. The only one that I've actually read from all the way through is Face of Betrayal. They're all by Liz Wheel. And so this, I think I've read a couple of chapters, probably maybe 20% of Hand of Fate, and I have not read any of Eyes of Justice. So here's what I found out. This author, I don't know if it's the author or just the series, is obsessed with assaults. I don't do SA, I don't do that kind of assault. I just don't want to read about it. Like, a character can have that happen to them without going into details. I don't understand that weird decision as a writer to just go into so many details. Like, I get you want people to understand and experience, but like, really? That's, I don't want to read that. Like, I'm not interested. That's just a me thing. I am not even close to interested. The first book in particular just was obsessed with like pedophile stuff and like lots of, you know, weird, it just was super dark. And the second book also had like the same stuff happening. And so even though the plot was completely different, so the first one, there's a Senate page, which is I think some, like a teenager-ish person who's, 17-year-old, who sort of works for the government in America, I don't know, who gets killed, and they have to try and find her. And then the second book, Hands of Fate, a radio show host gets killed, and they think it's like a poisonous gas where like everybody in the vicinity would die attack. And so the third one, this is actually the last one. And yeah, there's just, I'm not even close to interested to continue this. I just don't understand why she put so much of that in this series. So I'm sort of not even close to being interested. I think the last one has to do with a cat and mouse game with a killer. I love that. So I'm going to try and give it a go. I have serious doubts though, because if it's if it's the same theme as the others, no, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. All right. Oh gosh. Okay, this is In Places Hidden by Tracy Peterson. It's a horror. Oh my gosh, I can't say this word. It's a historical fiction. There you go. I said the word. And I think it's in, again, like 1800s or something like that. It must not be. It'd be 1900s, because the main character is a chick who is very feminist. So much so that they slam it over your head. Now, this is a Christian fiction. And to have feminism like that in Christian fiction is a pain in the butt. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, they smack you over the head with it every 5 seconds, and it's a pain in the... it makes you hate the main character, because she just won't stop banging on about this. And it's really annoying. And then on top of that, you also have the Christian content in here is way too pushy from a Christian that's saying something. Like, it is way too pushy. Guys, come on. This is like, again, smack you over the head with this. That's not the way to write it. Like, I've read good and I've read bad in terms of like putting, Christian content and weaving it in really nicely. This wasn't that. This was just slam you over the head with lots of it, and I'm like, no, it just makes you dislike the characters. So the general idea of the plot, her brother Caleb has gone missing, and so she goes to try and find what happened to him while also just trying to, pay the bills, apparently. The actual story, the plot great. Those little bits and pieces that made me not like the characters, bad. I actually deliberated with this book for a really long time whether I was going to get rid of it or not, and it came down to, will I ever read it again? And because of those smack you over the head things in this book, I wouldn't. If it wasn't for that, I would, and I would have kept it. So, bit of a bummer, but what are you going to do? Alright, there's only a few. So this is Before Takeoff, and it is by Adi Al-Said, I think. This book, like, I had this book in another video as well. I read the first and last chapter of it, and that was enough. This book is like a what the heck book. Like, I don't even understand, like, so two teenagers randomly, never met before, at an airport. There's a big green button, and when they hit the green button, all this weird stuff starts happening, like, you know, forests start appearing in the middle of the airport terminal. Nobody can sort of leave, I believe, and it's just sort of all this crazy stuff starts happening. The first chapter is written in like a weird perspective of like, we could see them do that, and we know they're feeling this, and I'm like, I don't know about all that. It was just so odd. There's trippy in a good way and trippy in a bad way. Bad way. Goodbye. All right. The last one that I'm going to talk about is A Chaplinoia by Chris England. This is about a guy who was accused of killing Charlie Chaplin. I didn't care. I'm sorry. This guy is still doing like, what, pantomime, vaudeville stuff, and, you know, Charlie Chaplin went over and hopped the line to television and movies, which was a good choice. And this guy stayed behind, who's accused of, you know, they were apparently rivals in that space, and now that Charlie was gone, he was like, I'm gonna top it, and I was just so bored in this, honestly. It sounded so fun, because I love Charlie Chaplin, I like him, but I just couldn't subject myself to this giant book when I didn't care. Like, I just couldn't, so I didn't. There you go, those are the books, some of the books that I'm unhauling because I am moving, and you know what? Some of them were just really weird. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the adventures.